So welcome everybody. So whether you're joining us live or you're watching a broadcast, we are just really super excited to have you all here. Monologue season is upon us, and so we want to make sure that we are able to just be present with you, answer any questions that you may have about auditioning for the monologues, but also to get you excited about the monologues too. So y'all in for a treat. We have some former storytellers here who are just going to really talk about their experience with the show. We'll answer, like I said, any questions that you may have about the show. And then Allegra, she's going to be leading a panel discussion with our storytellers. So again, welcome. Thank y'all for y'all time. I know it's a Friday evening and you can be doing anything. You could be anywhere, but you are here with us. So thank you. We are going to get started with no delay. So I'll introduce myself real quickly, and then we'll have the former storytellers and our interviewer introduce themselves too, and then we'll just kind of get into what a monologue is. We'll also get a chance to just go over like more logistical stuff regarding auditions and everything, and then we'll go into the panel discussion with our former storytellers. So if you were for some reason here last week, you got a chance to listen in. So bring your questions. You can put them in the chat. Please don't hesitate to ask any question. I'm sure if you're thinking about it, someone else may be thinking about it too. And then we will wrap up. And so just to introduce myself, my name is Chanel Allen. And so basically my role with Brown Mamas, first off, I was a storyteller back in 2019. So I had a chance to share my story on stage for the second annual Brown Mama Monologues. And now I do work with the organization. And so my responsibility is to oversee the day-to-day operations, in addition to just really helping us get our programming, events, and things like that, off the ground and everything. And so I'm super happy to be here with y'all. If you all just don't mind introducing yourselves, our storytellers, and I'll just call you based on how I see you on our screen too. And so you can just basically just state your name, what show you were in, if there's anything else that you want to share with the ladies. So Elena.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Elena Griffin. I was a part of the most recent 2022 Brown Mama Monologue. My story was basically of a wife in the chapters, which led me to from singlehood to divorced. So welcome, ladies. Just want to welcome you.
Thank you, Elena. Lisa.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. My name is Lisa Pickett, and I was in the 2020 Brown Mama Monologues, where I presented a monologue entitled Welfare Shame.
Thank you much, Nicole.
Hello, my name is Nicole Lewis. I was actually in the very first monologue cast, and my story was about managing my daughter's teenage pregnancy.
Thank you. Andrea?
Good evening, moms. This is Andrea. I shared the stage with Chanel in 2019 for the second annual Brown Mamas Monologue, and my story was about single parenthood.
Thank you, and Allegra.
Hi, my name is Allegra, and I have been a part of Brown Mamas and the Brown Mama Monologues since its inception. I work on the production side. If anyone has ever been to a Brown Mama Monologue show, then you may have seen me interviewing people. I may have interviewed you. So I'm happy to be here tonight.
Thank you all. And so we're just going to jump right into it. So we were trying to think of, just a way to really help you all understand and just really get a feel for what it is and what a monologue is. And so the best way for us to show you all is to actually show you a sample of a monologue. And so this is one of our former storytellers from our most recent show here in Pittsburgh. And so I'm going to share my screen with you all, and you will get a chance to, just hear her story, hear, what, how she's experienced, motherhood on her terms, but then also, you just get a chance to see just a couple of the other things in terms of just speaking to the crowd, painting the image regarding the story, being able to just really paint a picture so that your audience is engaged and captivated by your story. So give me a second, y'all. I got to share my screen. All right, that's going to take a second. And if someone can just give me the thumbs up whenever you're able to actually see my screen. Can you see my screen? No. All right, let me try it one more time. All right, we're going to try this again. If someone can just unmute yourself and let me know if you can see my screen.
It's good,
I can see
Chanel.
it.
Okay, perfect.
Why adopt, Elena? You're already a single mom. You might be wondering the same thing. It's a valid question, especially if you know my story. Not long ago, I was a new mom and a kept wife. I lived in sunny California with my hardworking husband, and I was a successful business banker. All bills paid by my husband. Sis, I had a nanny to help pick up our son and a housekeeper. We ate out every Sunday. I never touched a bill. I never touched a doorknob. I was definitely the queen of my castle. And I had married my Nigerian king, the wife of a doctor. Life was good until it wasn't. I slowly became his property, not his partner. I was there to raise his kids, cook his food, and sex him whenever he wanted. And I wasn't allowed to say no. And he didn't share any domestic responsibilities either. But I was okay with that. But a woman wants to feel appreciated too. He would stop talking to me for days if I did or said something he didn't like. I mean, no words at all, except, is dinner ready? Then there was the name calling. He would look at me like a piece of dirt and say, "You stupid ingrate. How could you say that to me? I'm your wife." "Say what?" he would say. I never said anything. He was trying to drive me crazy. And sis, let me tell you, I thought I was crazy. Every time I confronted him with something he said, he denied it flat out. I had to keep a journal with everything I knew he had said and done. Listen, when I filled out one journal, it was time for me to go. Finally, I separated from my own mental health and ultimately ended my marriage. This well taken care of mom was now a single mom in sunny California, which it was now not so sunny. The rent was sky high. I struggled. I struggled with loneliness, the stress of being a single mom, and now I had to juggle it all. I mean, I work full time, no help with bath time, no help with story time. You know how the littlest help adds up? And now there's a glaring gap when you have to do it all yourself. And because I chose me, my ex became hateful and bitter. He would again stop talking to me for days, no words at all. He was still trying to punish me. He refused to pick up our son, and he had stopped paying the nanny.
I almost got evicted as I could not manage the lifestyle. The bills were killing me. He had stopped all financial support. And I was always running around crazy and tired. And I felt like it was all taking a toll on my son. Reluctantly, I decided to move back home to Pittsburgh. I needed the support of my family, but I couldn't shake the feeling that this divorce crushed any chances of me extending my family. And then I had a son who keeps asking, when are you and daddy having more kids? Mom, I want a brother. I was given so many options. Girl, do artificial insemination. Girl, just find a guy to have a kid with. What? Who does that? I decided to extend my family a different way, on my terms. You see, I'm a firm believer that the area you lack is the area you give. So, for example, if you lack love, go out and give love. Be love. If you lack money, go out and help the less fortunate. Well, I lacked a child, so I decided to support children. I became a certified foster mom, but it wasn't easy. Countless hours of training, CPR certification, adult and child, background checks in every state I lived in. And you know, I lived in a few. A little boy, 2 years younger than my son Gabriel, was placed with me. His name is Dimitri. You know, I knew the moment I seen him, I knew he would be my son and be with me forever. You know, being a mom was fun. It was kind of easier having two boys. At first, I didn't have to be Gabe's playmate 24/7. I adopted Meech 3 years after placement. I now had to be his mother and his father. You know, Meech was fatherless. That was a circumstance I overlooked in my initial search to extend my family. And you know, I have a bitter ex husband who still hates me today because he never wanted to divorce, but he never wanted to change. So the expectation that he's going to father my other son as he fathers Gabe was out of the question. You know, he didn't even acknowledge Gabriel had a brother for a very long time. The path to extending my family looked nothing like I expected. As a parentless child, Meech had his own set of issues. We're still dealing with trauma associated with complications of his birth. But still, this is motherhood on my terms. You know, I had to affirm my kids and affirm myself. Each morning we say our affirmations. I am strong. I am capable. I am a king, they say. I am a queen, I say. I am intelligent. I am loved. You know, motherhood is a journey. It is not clearly defined. It is not the same for each mom. And it is not always easy. But you are called for this assignment. I am called for this assignment. You have to find and build your village. Allow yourself the grace to grow and develop. I have found my village, my family. I have grown to not allow unforeseen circumstances interrupt my everyday life. I am rocking out this journey. This is motherhood on my terms.
All right, all right, all right. So that was our very own who's here with us, Elena. Hopefully, as you all, were listening to her story, you really were able to see and understand, what a monologue is in terms of it truly just painting a picture. It's about your experience, your journey, but it provides a lot of visualization. So with her sharing that story, she took us where she was at, whether it was high or whether it was low. We were able to feel that. We were able to be a part of that. Now, in terms of like the monologues, they're typically 5 to 7 minutes in length. And one of the things that we, just want to make sure that we communicate is that it's not a speech. And so you're not getting on stage with bullet points, an outline or anything, but you truly are telling your story from your voice. Really important to know, because whenever you're on stage telling your story, you want to make sure obviously it's from your perspective, but you also want to make sure that if your story is about someone, you've had that conversation with that person too. The last thing that we want to happen is that the day that the show is aired or re-aired, that's when that person is finding out about that story. And so if there's any type of healing that needs to happen, it needs to occur, before you actually get on stage. If you do not have permission from that person, then you definitely want to rethink your story. Again, because we just have to be very mindful of what we're communicating, especially if you're involving somebody else in your story. They're sweet, they're short. And so again, when we talk about the monologues, you want to make sure the audience is there with you. You want to be able to draw them in. You want to be able to pull them in. And keeping it sweet and short helps you to do that. They have a beginning, it has a middle, and it has an end. And it truly takes you on that journey. So from the beginning of your story to those climaxes, to your body language, to the elevated voice, everything, it just truly will take you on a journey. In terms of just getting prepared for your monologue, we go through a whole 6 months of preparation. And so it's not like you're just jumping on stage, and it's not like you're just being thrown on stage, but you truly have the opportunity to work with a writing coach, with a speaking coach. And so we'll get a little bit more into that as our panelists just share their experience with you all. But before we do that, I just want to make sure that sorry y'all, I'm working multiple screens right now, just kind of go over some logistical stuff. And so in terms of the auditions, because obviously, we're here sharing information with you about the monologues, but auditions is what comes first. And so we do have 2 audition dates. The first audition date is November 5th. They're both on Saturdays. And so November 5th is the first day of auditions. And so that date is for our moms who live and reside in the Pittsburgh region or surrounding area. Auditions typically take place between 12 and 2 p.m. And so with the audition form, I will put the link in the chat. And so you'll have a link to the audition form whenever you submit your virtual audition. And we'll talk about that too. So whenever you submit your virtual audition, you'll have a chance to actually sign up for a time slot for an in-person audition too. And so the other date for the audition is November 12th. And that we are reserving for our moms who are coming from outside of the Pittsburgh region. So this year we are opening up the show to moms in that DMV, Philly, Ohio area. I may be missing one. And so, it's nice that we're going to be able to open up the show to moms from out of town. And so we'll be looking to incorporate or include at least 2 moms from our out of town region. In terms of travel and everything, if you're coming from out of town for auditions, you will be responsible for your travel costs for auditions. However, if you do get accepted into the show, Brown Mamas will cover your travel expenses for rehearsals and things like that. And so I am going to drop the link in the comments, because what we are asking everyone to do this year a little bit differently is you're going to submit your audition form virtually first. And then if selected, you'll be called back for an in-person audition. And so the link is in the comments, and we'll make sure that we send this out also. And so if you were registered, you'll have it in your, you should have it in your inbox too. And always check the Facebook page or the Facebook group, obviously, for that information too. So you get a chance to submit your virtual audition, go through all the questions. You can either do a video audition or you can do audio. So that's not a problem. You have two different options. You can upload your video, or you can just provide your link. But when you click on the form, you'll see all the information, pretty much, walks you through how to complete it. If you have any issues or anything, you definitely reach out to us. So some other things, just in terms of whether you're submitting your virtual audition or actually coming in person to audition, we just want to make sure you just bring your whole self. Your story's not going to be perfect. It shouldn't be. That's why we have opportunities to work with you all throughout the course of the 6 months prior to the show. So truly just bring your authentic story, bring your smile and everything. All right, Andrea. Yep, I got you. All right, y'all. So we are going to just jump right in because, like I said, I can talk, but I don't want to because, the best thing is that you all are able to hear just the experiences of our former storytellers. And if you have any questions for them, please post them in the chat and we'll get to your questions too. All righty, Allegra, I'm going to mute myself.
Okay, awesome. Thanks a lot, Chanel. And you gave us a lot of great information. So I'm going to jump right in so we can speak to the speakers, the mamas who have actually gone on stage and did this brave, exciting, wonderful thing, being a part of the show. Now, before I go into the questions with you guys, I just want to answer one question I know a lot of the moms on this call may be having, and that is, can you tell a story about anything? Yes, as long as it's from the Black mother perspective, the perspective of Black motherhood. And since we're all Black moms on this call, so yes, your story can be about anything. It should really bring the audience into your own personal experience. All right. So, mamas, my first question for you guys, and any one of you guys can answer this, is why did you decide to audition and then participate in the Brown Mama Monologues?
For me, I would say it was because I was really at a point in my life. I was born and raised in Pittsburgh. Always kind of felt like I was on an island, and I had just had my son. I was about 2 years in, around 2012, and I was really honestly craving connection to my culture, in particular African American females. So when I found Brown Mamas on Facebook, and then I got to know Muffy and her platform and her mission and her vision, I just always tell people I fell in love with the entire project and the initiative. And so once she announced the Brown Mama Monologues and I watched the first one, I watched Nicole share your story, and I was just really in love with the whole project. And so when I was ready, when I felt like I was ready to share my story the third time around and I heard the auditions, I thought, Lisa, you need to share your voice because there are so many other African American females, in particular in Pittsburgh, who may have gone through the same journey that I went through as a young African American female, and really was looking for someone to say, don't be ashamed of your journey. We all go through journeys as African American women, and it's okay to need support and need healing. Because I always tell Nicole how I saw her as a young woman when I was about 22 or 23, when I was secretly pregnant, and she was at a meeting, and I remember her grinning at me and smiling at me and giving me like this sense of confidence. And I shared this story with you, didn't I, Nicole? Yeah, and she never even knew how she affected me until years later. And so when the Brown Mama Monologues came about, I was like, Lisa, it's time for you to share your story because we want African American women to feel like they are not alone and that we don't have to be on this island where we have to appear to be perfect and infallible and just at all times having ourselves together. It's okay for us to go through a journey. And so that was like my main mission, is to share my story and to let other African American females know you are not alone. We are here for you. This is a collaborative effort and we're here to support you.
Definitely. Anyone else want to answer that?
I'll answer. I thought it was a phenomenal opportunity, very unique when I first heard about it. I think it's one of the reasons why it's been so popular and why there is so much interest around it, because we on this call know how hard this job is, but I think no one really ever gave us the spotlight to discuss it, right? And I know even though my story centered around my daughter and finding out that she was pregnant at 16, some of us also have sons, and there is a terror that only a Black mother knows that, quite frankly, others don't. And so there's so many stories that we have. And while I would never, ever in a million years want to be anything other than a Black woman, it's not easy. And the fact that somebody gave us time to say whatever we wanted to say about the journey was an opportunity I could not pass up. And I was so thankful to have been given the chance to get on that stage and share just a piece of my life as it relates to, you know, this walk, this Black woman walk and Black mother walk. Yeah, so you know, I'm so thankful to have been a part of it.
Mm-hmm. I hear what you're saying. It's like sharing a part of Black motherhood, because we're not all the time given that platform to share our stories. And the idea of Black motherhood is sometimes very myopic. So it's an opportunity for you guys to really show it, all sides and all facets of it. But Lisa, you said something really key about being ready to share your story. So how did you guys know it was time for you to share your story, and how did you feel ready to do that?
So for me, I attended the first annual Brown Mama's Monologue, and I was so motivated. I felt like there was like this ball or like shield of positivity around me. I just felt so good when I left that monologue. And I told myself I'm going to audition next year. So the women that did the first annual monologue, they motivated me and made me feel ready to tell my story. So that's where I got my motivation from, was from the women from the first Brown Mama's Monologue.
Yeah, I'll say for me, there was a story inside of me. So when I seen the post on Facebook, there was just an urge to audition. So I went and auditioned, and at that point, I knew that I was ready. I was not afraid to tell my story, which is one thing, and there was no shame behind what I went through, because I know what I was telling, it may impact at least one woman, and she can familiarize herself with me. So I knew I was ready.
And you guys mentioned the other people involved, and Andrea, you talked about being motivated from the women in the first cohort. But how is it working with a group of strangers? It is. I mean, I know that some of you guys may know each other, but at the core, you're working with 7 to 8 different women that you may have never met or been in their space before. How was it working with other mothers?
I know for me, sometimes it's hard for me to bring down my guard. But once we worked together, you know, honestly, it was like getting to know people, so it was uncomfortable. But once we started to tell our stories and really start to connect, we really formed a sisterhood. Even Chanel started a podcast, and her and now, you know, I collaborated on that also. I still communicate, and I'm friends with the other women that that were alongside of me with the second annual, or yeah, it was the second annual Brown Mama's Monologue. So initially, it was scary because it was a new environment, and we were very vulnerable. We were all opening up. We were crying a lot, and then once we broke down those barriers, we all really built a sisterhood. I remember one of the girls, her story was about losing her baby. And when she was on stage and when she got done, we all ran back there and we were on her and we were all crying with her and we were so proud of her. We just like surrounded her with so much love. So it was really, you know, like I said, scary at first, but we all formed a sisterhood afterwards.
I agree with that. It doesn't, it crossed so many lines, right? Like where you grew up. I'm actually originally from Philly, but it didn't, you know, it didn't matter where you grew up, how you grew up, how many siblings, married, divorced, you know, whether you're a single mom now or not, age. Um, there's always something to learn. And I'm somebody who am always open to new friendships and learning something new from other people. And I remember those first working sessions because it was all new. Like Muffy was really trying to sketch it out and what it was going to look like. And we were meeting at the library on the hill, and we were just sitting there like with our mouths hanging open when we were hearing each other's stories. And, you know, it chills, literally tears and chills. And so the fact that we were able to inspire other people to audition, really means a lot, because we were in there very new, very fresh, very, how is this going to go? And yeah, it's an experience I won't ever forget.
Mm-hmm. And before we get into the actual experience, and I want you guys to walk us through the beginning, after the audition, what happens next with the writing coaches and things like that. Before we talk about that, Chanel, you may want to answer this. I know the last session, we had a question about privacy and confidentiality. How do you protect that when you are around this group of, like I said, strangers at some point, and you're sharing very confidential, very personal stories? How do we protect that, Chanel?
So that's a good question. And so we do require, so all of the storytellers are considered to be volunteers. And so we do require all of the storytellers to sign a volunteer agreement. And a part of that agreement is confidentiality. And so basically what happens in a room stays in a room, and that's the expectation. If for any reason, if it is violated, we will obviously, take action, but we've never had an issue to where we've had to. But we just, we want to make sure that we are being just super mindful of everyone's lives, and their experiences within the Brown Mamas community too.
Yeah, I think that's very important. But like you ladies said, it becomes a sisterhood from the beginning to the end. And so now, who wants to walk us through the process of this awesome show? So the beginning, you go there, you have an audition. They say, great, we would like to invite you to participate in the show. You say, yes, let's do this. What can people expect after that?
I would say initially in the beginning, you get that first acceptance and you're excited. And then from there, what I recall the most is really being in a space where I felt, which was very important to me because I was sharing something that was intimate to me, was a space that was psychologically safe. And that when we went to our meetings and when we received our communications and our emails, we were always encouraged to ask questions. Never were we told that we should just sit there and just kind of grit and bear it. There was always this idea that whatever you need, sis, you need to let me know so I can help you. And then in turn, we were expected to make sure that we responded well to constructive criticism based on the tools that we were provided. So say, for example, if we were in the space after we auditioned and we started our rehearsals, we got our schedule. Are you okay with the schedule? Is there something that you need changed? Where the location is? Are you okay with your children? Really checking to make sure that we were okay before we entered the space. And then the next step was really sitting down with the different tools that were provided to us. And that could be anything from the writing coach, reviewing all of our material and checking to make sure that it was the best that it could be, which is what I really appreciated because I wrote the piece, but I really needed some more voice, somebody who was outside, somebody who was impartial to really look at it, to help me fine tune it and sharpen it. So I really appreciated those sessions where we focused on the writing and then the rehearsal process. And really knowing that when we were there, as we were going through the process after the auditions were there and the rehearsals, getting the support that we needed so that when it was time to bring it to life in front of an audience, we had the necessary skills and the necessary rehearsal and practice in place so that we were ready to go, especially in terms of blocking and being able to speak and communicate effectively and really maintain our authentic selves, in our monologues, but still have that sense of stage presence so that when we went on there, the audience would be able to engage and appreciate our story. So I would say that was the whole process, is really bringing to life our stories so that the audience could appreciate it. And as we said earlier, the women that were watching could take something from those stories and maybe we can have an effect and empower them as well.
And you mentioned the writing coach. So how was it working with the writing coach? Because essentially, like you said, Lisa, you write the story, but you have someone to kind of help you develop it along the way. So what was that process like?
Sorry. Yeah, for me, it was great, and I'll say for the ladies that are here, you're here, you have an interest in the monologue, begin to just write. So I wrote, and you may overwrite, but the writing coach is there to guide you. One of my biggest challenges was I was writing like I was writing a book, and it really wasn't speaking as if I was speaking to a girlfriend. So the writing coaches was excellent, really directed me and kind of amplified some of what I had on paper to really bring it to life on stage. So.
Anybody else want to answer that?
Yeah, I would say the writing coach. I agree with everything that she just said, especially because when I was writing about my story, I was going on and on and on and on. And Muffy was like, "You're gonna have to turn that down, Lisa." It was at least 15, 20 minutes long. And I believe what is the limit for our monologues?
5 to 7, I think.
5 to 7. So I needed the writing coach to help me release all of these words that I had written that I was so close to that it was very difficult for me to delete one word because I'm like, no, 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 that's my story. So it was great to have that support system and knowing that you had an expert there to guide you so that if you did release something, you could trust and know that the person that was helping you was really trying to make sure that they maintain your story, but also weaved it down to a point where it was manageable on stage.
Mm-hmm. Now, we saw a snippet of the monologue and it was awesome. And you looked absolutely beautiful, girl. So from your hair to your makeup to your wardrobe, you all looked great. Who wants to speak to the process of the other side, getting you guys ready for the actual show? Is there makeup? Is there hair? Is there wardrobe? Who wants to talk a little bit about that?
I can talk about it. So I think, and you're right. Every year has looked so beautiful. And people have. I hope people have chosen what's made them feel most comfortable. I know for me, I've reached this point in my life where I've overhauled my whole wardrobe to make sure that it's not something that I'm constantly tugging and pulling on, that I feel beautiful in. And that's what I would say for this. Whatever you choose, please choose something that you just feel amazing in, because you know how we are, you know how critical we are. This is going to live on. And you don't want to focus on, oh, I don't like that bulge there. You want to focus on what you're saying and how you're inspiring others. And so, yeah, I went and got my makeup done and I picked a new outfit. And I actually had the pleasure of, since it was about my daughter, I asked if I could bring her and my grandson on stage at the end. And so I know she went out and got something new. We made sure he had it fresh cut and, all of that. So, but yeah, I would just say, whatever makes you feel your most beautiful, and that you're not going to, something that you're comfortable in. If you're going to be moving around with the mic, you don't want to be tugging and pulling and feeling like that's your focus, because that's going to pull you out of your monologue. It's going to pull you out of your game.
Now, Nicole,
Yeah, and I'll say,
now I was going to say she was in the first cohort, but ladies, now we have a wardrobe and hair and makeup. So who wants to talk about that?
Oh my!
Yeah, I was going to say we have a wardrobe change, or not wardrobe change, but opportunity to work with a personal wardrobe stylist to really, what colors look best on us if we're not sure. We had our makeup done professionally. We had our headshots done. We were definitely pampered. So
Nice.
Be prepared. You really have a lot of support in going up stage and looking your best.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I love.
You were treated like a queen, the queens that you are, huh?
That's awesome.
Yeah, I was going to agree. I appreciated the production value the most, and that knowing that there was some thought and effort put into making sure that when we do walk on the stage that we looked and we were presenting ourselves in a way that was successful, and that they were all looking at us to make sure our hair was done well, like you said, our makeup, our clothing, down to the lighting and the music and the photo shoots. It definitely made us feel like we were queens and we were valued and we were appreciated.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm working on the production side, so I'm a little biased, but I would say, so yes, this is a very cathartic monologue show. It's, it's healing, but also it's a production, and a high value production. So you mentioned from the lights to the music to everything, it's chef's kiss. It's all that. If you have not experienced it, I would definitely recommend you go on to YouTube or wherever that the monologues are housed. Check out the Brown Mama's website and their Facebook page and get involved in the group to really get that firsthand knowledge. And before we wrap up, I just want to ask the ladies, is there anything you would say to a mom that's on the call right now who may have some reservations about auditioning or may just not be sure this is her time, what would you say to that mom?
I would say you clearly have some interest, right? You're attending this, and you're looking in, you're peeking in to see if it's for you. This is an opportunity unlike any other. And one of the ways that I try to live my life, whether it's through corporate America or writing books or my invention or whatever the case, is leaving a legacy, right? We're in this because we have children, right? We're brown mamas. So the assumption is that we are leaving a legacy or something. The assumption is that we have someone to leave a legacy to. And this is something that your children will be able to look back on and see you for who you are. I'm gonna get a little personal now. So my mother died when I was 10, and there's so many things I did not know about her that I had to ask my aunts and my grandmother and my dad and all of this. This is something you can leave them that they don't have to ask anyone about. This is from your own words, something that they will be able to watch forever, that you took the time to say and took the time to share with the world. So that's what I'll say about that. Don't be hesitant. It's 2022, girl. Like, step out there and let everybody hear what you have to say.
Yeah, I would agree. I would say, like she said, if you are here for a reason. Do not be afraid. It's a space where you are not expected to come in polished and be a professional actress or actor. The goal was for you to be your authentic self. So do not be afraid. You might say, I don't have any experience on the stage. I don't have any experience writing. I don't know what I'm doing. The supports are here. You just need to get to the audition, make sure that you put some thought and effort into the story that you would like to tell. And then from there, you step into the audition, which you will have support. There will be people there to guide you and to make sure that you are successful, so that if you do it, you're going to be in a space where you are protected and you are safe.
And I'll just say, like all the ladies said, you're here, so you have some interest. Begin to write your story. Be confident in yourself. Your story is unique, and no one else. That's your power. No one else is you, so your story is unique, and trust yourself.
And then for me, I'll say it will be fearful. I was up and down. I was really excited. Then I was really nervous. And I was like, oh my goodness, how am I going? And like everyone else said, it's your story. So whenever you're ready, you'll be ready. Just push through that fear and know that you're telling your story. And I'm pretty sure all the other women can agree with this. When I walked off that stage after telling my story, I felt absolutely amazing. I still feel amazing. And this is a shameless thing to say, but it's not a shameless. I watch my own monologue all the time. All the time, because I was just so proud of myself. And it
Your
felt
monologue was amazing. So let me stop there and just say your monologue was amazing.
Thank you, Nicole. I appreciate it.
Excellent.
And it just made me feel so good. My boys were front row. And you can't tell, but I was nervous as heck. Before I walked on stage, I looked at Muffy. I said, Muffy, I forgot all my words. She said, Andrew, if you don't get your butt up on that stage. But when I was up there, you couldn't tell because I pushed through my fear. And I can't stress it enough how amazing and I felt, and I still feel 3-4 years later. So just push through that fear, moms, and tell your story. And like everyone else said, you do not have to be perfect. It is your story and no one else can tell it besides you. And I wish you all the best of luck if you do audition.
That's it. I'm writing that down. Push through your fear. That's a word, girl. Thank you, ladies, for joining us tonight. And just a reminder for everyone out there, the deadlines for the auditions are Friday, October 28th, and that is when you must submit your virtual audition. And I know Chanel has more information about that. Again, thank you, and I can't wait to see some of you guys at the audition.
Whoo, thank you all. I just got chills. I'm over here like reliving monologue seasons and experiences. And like, even Andrea was saying, just that feeling of right when you're about to get on stage, the nerves is just rushing in. But as soon as you get up there, it's just a whole different vibe. Like you just feel like, wow, take it all in, like, wow, this is me, and I can do this, and I'm going to do it. And when you walk off that stage, you just feel like so powerful. I'm excited for y'all. I hope that you all, submit your virtual audition. Like Allegra was saying, the deadline for your virtual audition and the form is provided is October 28th. And so I just want to just share with you all just kind of what to expect in terms of the process. So you'll submit your virtual audition if you are selected, and then you will be notified to show up for an in-person audition. So whenever you go in to fill out your virtual audition form, it does ask you what time slots you what time slots you prefer for the in-person. Again, they're just a preference that you're going to provide, but we ask that you do, kind of hold those time slots within your calendar. And so if you do get selected, you'll be you'll be called for in-person audition. You may have asked for 12 o'clock or 2 o'clock, and we may give you the 2 o'clock time frame. So again, just want to make sure that you're aware of that. And in terms of just the timeline for the whole, because it is a production from auditions to the day that you go on stage. So I just kind of want to share with you all just a timeline. So you can expect to really start to engage with the Brown Mamas monologue community from January to May. And so January we have a meet and greet, and so we bring back all of the former storytellers, and you get a chance to meet them, get a chance to know your current castmates a little bit better. We do a photo shoot. So when we talk about the production, man, it is straight a full production for photo shoot, professional photos. We make sure y'all look good, so we don't put those photos out there if you ain't looking good. In your photos, you get your makeup done, hair done, all that stuff. After the meet and greet, you can expect to attend 2 rehearsals a month. So from February up until the show, 2 rehearsals a month. One of them would be in person and one of them will be virtual. In terms of what the expectation is weekly, really you just need to commit to practicing your monologue on a regular basis. I know the writing coach and the speaking coach, they'll give you some, tips and tricks on what you can do in terms of how, you can get used to your story, memorizing your story and things like that. But that weekly practice is going to be huge for you just being comfortable, that day you get on stage too. They already talked about the writing and the speaking coach, so you get a speaking coach as well. And so there is an opportunity that you will be able to work with them in between. In addition, they talked a little bit about the styling workshop. And so we do offer, which was pretty dope. We were able to offer it last year with one of our former storytellers who actually has a business of her own. So she did a transformational styling session with the storytellers. Again, just getting you comfortable with colors, styles that work for your body type, and just wanting you to be as comfortable and as confident as possible when you walk on that stage. Also, an interplay workshop, which is something that I'm very new to it, but we wanted to be able to give our storytellers an opportunity to really understand the movement of your body. And so using the wisdom within your body. And that's something that we're offering to our moms this year. And with going through that workshop, it's pretty dope because it will really help you to prepare to be on stage too. So again, everybody already talked about it's truly a full production, but we just want to make sure that y'all are really set up for success. We want you to be as prepared and as comfortable as possible. Also, there's a rehearsal brunch, and so we like to have fun too. So you'll get a chance to just connect with the other storytellers during a brunch, and then leading up right before the show, we'll have a full tech rehearsal. And so with the full tech rehearsal, we will have production, music, lighting, and just running through the show and making sure everything works the way we need it to work. Super important because, again, we want to make sure the day of the show that we ain't looking tore up. We just want to make sure that everything is as smooth as possible. And then, of course, the showcase. So as every year goes on, we're thinking of ways to be, more innovative. And so we are playing around with the idea of maybe doing a weekend showcase versus just a one day. And so, again, if you do get selected, you'll have an opportunity to be a part of that, but you'll have all of the information in terms of what the expectations are and everything. I know one of the things that we talked about the last info session, and if someone doesn't mind just sharing just about the commitment, in terms of what we want our storytellers to understand regarding the commitment that they want to make to the auditions, rehearsals, and everything in order to really show up as their best self. So if anybody just doesn't mind, just Andrea.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, I saw you.
The commitment is a huge one. You will have to commit 100%. So if you don't have the time, maybe you could apply another year when you have the time to, but it will be a huge commitment. I had three, well, I still do. I had my three boys. I was running a business and I didn't have a vehicle at the time, but I still, 1000% committed myself to the Brown Mama's monologue. I wrote out my monologue and I practiced so much. I practiced in the mirror. I practiced with the boys there. And one thing that I really would try to instill in myself, and that's why I practice with the boys, is if they got up or they got distracted, I would keep going, because you have to get used to that and you have to practice with that. And that's part of that commitment. So it's going to be a lot, but if you really want to tell your story, it'll be an easy commitment for you, but it will be something that you will have to work on for some time until the big day.
Yeah, she is telling the truth. I mean, if you think about it from the perspective of, if you want quality, you have to be willing to put forth the time and the effort and the focus so that when you do step on the stage, everyone does well and everybody enjoys the performance. So like she said, when it comes down to memorizing the monologue, time and effort is definitely needed. I found that for me, I thought that it was going to be easy for me to memorize it because I wrote it. But I did realize quickly that I needed to make a commitment a couple times a week to make sure that I practiced it. I started out slowly. I did like a chunk here, I memorized it, and then I would add another chunk. And then once I had it, I kept doing it over and over again because I knew from my past experience that memorization is key, so that when you step on the stage and your nerves start to take over, the memorization will allow you to overcome that, and your nerves won't get the best of you if you haven't memorized. And then also really just practicing and really focusing and knowing that it's a commitment that one makes. So you have to make sure that you do your part. Brown mamas will do their part and make sure that you have what you need. You'll have everything that you need in terms of writing and practice and all the supports. But if you do decide to take on the task of being a part of this wonderful production, you will be expected to hold your end, of the bargain and be committed.
And I'll just say that, it's an investment. So think about it as an investment. You're investing in yourself. You're investing the time necessary to produce great results when you get on stage. So think about it as an investment, and the reward will definitely outweigh the time that you put into it.
Yeah, no doubt. Like Andrea said, when I could connect to what she said. When I was done, I felt so empowered that I had won. I was able to complete my mission, complete my task, and then I was able to do it amongst women who look like me and women who were a part of my culture. And we were able to celebrate that. So it's very empowering. All the effort that you would put forth would definitely be worth it.
And I wanted to add something too, sort of related to this, but I think there's something that we don't really realize. Like, we feel like we're telling this story for ourselves, right? But when it was over and, I walked off the stage and I was one of, it was 2018. So we were in person, and more than one person came up and stopped me and said, wow, and not because the story was so amazingly written, but because they said to me, no one ever tells our story, the story of the mom who's heard that their daughter is pregnant, or, and so it just, I have chills now, feeling like I was able to tell a story that people in the audience saw themselves in. And a lot of times people feel alone, even if cognitively that you're not alone in what you're dealing with, right? You're not the only single Black mother out here. You're not the only one who's ever gotten divorced. You're not the only one who's ever, whatever path you took, you're not, reasonably you're not the only one. But when someone comes and says, wow, I saw myself in your story, I felt what you said, that stays with you forever. And you really could be releasing somebody. You could be giving somebody a gift with your story. So you may be hesitant to share it, but you might be keeping something from someone that they really, really need. So I just wanted to share that.
Thank you so much. And thank you all so much for sharing that. I mean, there's just so much that was said here, and I'm hoping that anybody that is either live or just, watches the replay just really takes something for this. And if you get a chance, actually recommend go back and watch some of the stories, and you'll just get a chance to see the diversity in the stories too. And like Allegra said from the beginning, any story can be told. Truly, it is your story, it is your experience. Anyone can be told. And the fact of knowing that your story, like they said, really can help somebody else. So not just you, but really help release somebody else too, is truly powerful. So as we're wrapping up, we do want to ask if there's any questions. And so if there's any questions, place them in the chat. Whether you have a question specific to, timeline, question, specifically directed towards one of the storytellers too, please, just pop them in the chat. We are going to check the chat real quick and see if we have any questions.
And something else to keep in mind too is we talked about this during the first session, is you can write your story about anything, but make sure that if you're talking about your children like Nicole, make sure that you're consulting with your family before you put your story out there. And just making sure if your story is about someone that they know, so there's not any, anything bad going on, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely. So I'm not seeing any questions popping up. And so just to kind of reiterate, if there's anybody here who knows this is your time, like this is your time. Good question. And so there is actually a question here. One of us says, if the story you use as your audition, will it be the story you use for if you are accepted? So does anybody want to answer that? So the story you show up with for audition, will that be your story day of show? If not, I'll answer that.
I would say that it could be, then it could not be. You come in with the story and with the tools and the writing coach and all of the support you get, it may have changed. It may have changed or altered a different way, but it could be the same story. But once we expanded to make it to the 5 to 7 minutes for you to be stage ready, it could have changed in many ways. So just be prepared for that and be open and flexible. And like Lisa said, be able to take constructive criticism too.
Because it's a process, right, ladies? Like you come in with one idea, you work with the coach, you listen to other moms, you get other ideas. And so, like you said, essentially it could be the same story, but many times it's not.
And I know, like, just even with my experience, and I'm sure somebody may be able to relate, like I came in like, this is my story, but what you realize is it's kind of all over the place. So it's like, all right, we need to actually really figure out what story we need to tell. And so just know that, if you come in with something, it's going to be definitely, refined, because we just want to make sure that you're able to tell, and pinpoint on that part of the story that you need to tell, and so that the audience is able to engage too.
And yeah, I would say that was me. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, Lisa.
Yeah, I was going to say that was me. I had about 3 different stories in my monologue initially. And after the writing coach listened to me several times, she shared with me, there's one story that is really standing out. And this is the one that I think that you should focus on. And I really took heed to what she said to me. And then I adjusted my story. So my story, like I said, there were 3 of them, but I ended up picking one, the one that stood out the most. And I see the one at the bottom, 5 to 7 minutes seems so long. It seems like it's long, but once you actually write your monologue and you start to speak it, it's not long at all. Like I felt like I could have went on a little bit longer. Once I started to build my confidence, I was empowered to continue to share. So that 5 to 7 minutes, after you rehearse it, after a while, and you start to really sit into yourself as a performer and a speaker, that it goes by so quickly that I had to really remind myself, Lisa, you need to be in this moment. You need to really take heed and enjoy it and appreciate it, because it's 5 to 7 minutes and that's all you get. So it definitely is not, it goes by quickly.
I absolutely agree with that. 1000%.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to add, sorry, real quick.
That's okay.
It's still your story. So I don't want anyone to walk away thinking that there's being words added or the writing coaches are adding words. It's still your story, but they help you to pull things out, pull memories out, pull different processes or different dates or different experiences that you had to help you put your story together. But it's still 100% your story.
And I was just going to add that, so I'm on the other end, working in production and also working with being a part of the auditions. So one thing we really look for, we don't look for perfection. So we're not asking anyone to come in with the perfect monologue or perfect ideas, but just wanting to share. So when you audition, just think about what you want to share, what you want to convey, and how you want your audience to feel. So it definitely doesn't have to be perfect, but it's perfect because it's your story, regardless.
And on a day of auditions, you can have your paper. You know, you might be reading from it. So just know that you can have your paper in front of you. No one's expecting you to come with a memorized, with a memorized, with a memorized story or anything. All right, any more questions as we're wrapping up? All right, I'll just give it a couple more seconds. And just know also, whenever we'll send out some communication, there's a FAQ that will attach to the communication. So, there may be some questions within there that you're able to answer just by reviewing the FAQ. It doesn't look like we have any more questions. So just thank you all for your time. I truly appreciate Allegra and the former storytellers, Elena, Andrea, Lisa, and Nicole. Thank you so much for just being willing to share your experiences with us, being real with the ladies who are listening or who will be watching the replay, just around, what they can expect with the Brown Mama Monologues. Like Nicole said, it started in 2018, y'all, and we still going strong, and we ain't going nowhere. It's going to continue, I think, every year. And even though every year I feel like the show is great, it's just going to keep on just getting better. So I'm sure during your year, you're like, oh my goodness, this was all that. It's just going to keep on just getting better. And to know that you're, a part of that, a part of history. This is truly history that we're making here, especially here in the city of Pittsburgh. We had a Black woman who had a vision. And a lot of people just rallied around it, and so there's really nothing else I can say about that. I hope that you all, kind of see yourselves as a part of that vision in some way or another. So thank you, everybody, for being here, being present with us on your Friday evening. I hope y'all enjoy y'all weekend. Have a good one.
Bye.